Elizabeth Short was a young woman with big dreams, hoping to make a name for herself in Hollywood. At 22 years old, she had left her small town in Massachusetts, drawn to the allure of fame and glamour in Los Angeles. Elizabeth had a striking beauty, with raven black hair and porcelain skin, earning her the nickname Black Dahlia among her friends. But like so many dreamers, the reality of Hollywood was harsh. She struggled to find steady work and often moved between cheap hotels and friends' couches, hoping for her big break. On the cold morning of January 15th, 1947, a woman walking with her child through Leimert Park made a horrifying discovery. Lying in the vacant lot was the body of Elizabeth Short, grotesquely posed. Her body had been severed at the waist, with each half placed in an almost ceremonial manner. Her face bore a horrific Glasgow smile, slashed from ear to ear. The woman, frozen in shock, quickly notified the authorities, and within minutes, the park was swarmed with police officers and reporters eager for a scoop. The detectives were perplexed. Despite the brutal state of the body, there was no blood at the scene. This led them to believe that Elizabeth had been killed elsewhere, her body carefully washed and drained before being placed in the lot. The cuts on her body were unnervingly precise, as if done by someone with medical knowledge. This was no ordinary crime, and whoever had done this had taken great care to conceal their tracks. News of the murder spread quickly, and the city of Los Angeles was gripped by fear. The brutality of the crime and the mysterious circumstances surrounding it led to rampant speculation. The press sensationalized the case, dubbing Elizabeth the Black Dahlia and turning her tragic death into a media circus. Headlines screamed of a sadistic killer on the loose, and the public began to wonder if this was the work of a serial killer. The Black Dahlia case became a sensation overnight. Reporters dug into every aspect of Elizabeth's life, often exaggerating or fabricating details to sell more papers. They painted her as a femme fatale, a woman whose beauty and ambition led her to a tragic fate. Meanwhile, detectives struggled to keep up with the barrage of rumors and misinformation, which only served to complicate their investigation further. As investigators delved deeper into Elizabeth's life, they interviewed dozens of potential suspects, from former lovers to shady acquaintances. However, no one seemed to have a strong enough motive or opportunity to commit such a heinous act. Each lead seemed promising at first but quickly fizzled out, leaving detectives frustrated and the public more desperate for answers. Just when the investigation seemed to be hitting a dead end, a letter arrived at the Los Angeles Examiner office. The writer claimed to be Elizabeth's killer. The letter was pieced together from newspaper clippings and was signed the Black Dahlia Avenger. It provided certain details about the crime that had not been made public, leading detectives to believe that the letter might indeed have been from the real killer. However, the letter offered no solid leads, only taunting the police and the media. The arrival of the letter only heightened the city's fear. Los Angeles was on edge, with people locking their doors at night and avoiding dark streets. The press continued to stoke the fire, publishing sensational headlines about the so-called Black Dahlia Avenger. As the hysteria grew, the LAPD was under intense pressure to catch the killer. But despite their best efforts, the investigation stalled once again, and the killer remained at large. In the weeks following the letter, dozens of people came forward, claiming to be the Black Dahlia's killer. Each confession was thoroughly investigated, but none held up under scrutiny. Some individuals were clearly seeking attention, while others were mentally unstable. The detectives were forced to sift through these false leads, which wasted valuable time and resources. Frustration grew among the investigative team, as each new confession led nowhere. As detectives continued to dig into Elizabeth's past, a darker side of her life began to emerge. She had struggled with poverty, moving frequently, and often relying on the kindness of strangers. Her relationships were fraught with tension, and she was known to attract the attention of men who were drawn to her beauty, but who also left her abandoned. Elizabeth's personal life was messy, and while this complicated the investigation, it also made it harder to pinpoint a single suspect. As weeks turned into months, and with no arrests made, public confidence in the LAPD began to erode. People started to question the competence of the police force, and the media fanned the flames of discontent. The Black Dahlia case became a symbol of the LAPD's failure to protect the public and bring justice. The detectives on the case, now working tirelessly to solve the crime, felt the weight of public pressure more than ever. After months of dead ends, the detectives caught a break. An anonymous tipster claimed to have seen Elizabeth with a man the night before her murder. The man, described as older and well-dressed, was reportedly arguing with her outside a bar in downtown LA. Detectives worked tirelessly to track down the man, believing he might hold the key to the case. But once again, the lead fizzled out. The man was identified, but his alibi checked out. Another disappointment. While the investigation floundered, Elizabeth's family was left devastated. Her mother, Phoebe Short, made frequent public pleas for information, hoping someone would come forward with the truth. The weight of not knowing who had taken their daughter's life hung over the family like a dark cloud. Despite their pain, the Shorts remained hopeful that justice would one day be served, though that hope seemed to grow dimmer with each passing day. As the months dragged on, the Black Dahlia case began to lose momentum. Detectives were reassigned to other cases, and public interest waned. Though a few leads continued to trickle in, none were strong enough to bring the investigation any closer to solving the crime. The once promising case that had captivated a nation was now slipping into the category of unsolved mysteries. Despite the lack of resolution, the Black Dahlia case left a lasting impact on Los Angeles. The brutality of the crime, combined with the mystery surrounding it, cemented the case in the public's imagination. Over the years, it has inspired countless books, films, and conspiracy theories, but none have brought closure to the haunting mystery of who killed Elizabeth Short. The Black Dahlia case left more questions than answers. Who was the man seen with Elizabeth the night before her murder? Why was she chosen as the target of such a brutal crime? The detectives had theories, but nothing concrete. For years, these questions haunted those involved in the investigation, and they still linger in the minds of true crime enthusiasts to this day. The Black Dahlia murder left a lasting scar on Los Angeles. It became a symbol of the city's dark underbelly, a place where dreams could be crushed and where violence lurked behind the glamour. For decades, the case was referenced in pop culture, inspiring films, books, and even copycat crimes. But beyond the sensationalism, it was a stark reminder of how fragile life could be in a city driven by ambition. As forensic science advanced in the decades following Elizabeth Short's murder, there was renewed hope that the case might finally be solved. New technologies like DNA analysis could potentially unlock clues from old evidence. But despite re-examining the case with modern techniques, the Black Dahlia killer remained elusive, continuing to baffle both seasoned investigators and amateur sleuths alike. Despite the passage of time, those who worked on the case never forgot their promise to Elizabeth's family. They vowed to continue searching for answers, to bring closure to a grieving family that had waited far too long for justice. But with each year that passed, the likelihood of catching the killer grew slimmer, leaving many to wonder if the mystery would ever truly be solved. To this day, the murder of Elizabeth Short remains one of the most infamous unsolved cases in American history. The image of the Black Dahlia, with her dark beauty and tragic end, continues to captivate the public's imagination. As long as the case remains unsolved, it will haunt Los Angeles, a reminder of the shadows that can exist in even the brightest of cities.